This is a video lecture for section 8.3. So this section is on consumer loans. The first thing we're going to do in this section is determine payments for what's called an add-on loan. Then we want to compute finance charges on a credit card using a method called the unpaid balance method. And then we'll do the same thing with a different method called the average daily balance method. And then we'll compare those two methods. We're going to talk first about the add-on interest method, but first we need to define an installment loan. So a loan having a fixed number of payments is called a closed-end credit agreement, or usually just called an installment loan, where you're making regular installments. An example would be a car payment or a house payment. There's a fixed number of loans until you've paid it off, and each payment is called an installment. The interest charged on a loan is called a finance charge. To figure out the monthly payment of an installment loan is pretty simple using the add-on interest method. So we just take the amount that we've borrowed, that's the principal P. We add on the interest, hence the name of the method. We add on the interest, and then we just divide by the number of monthly payments, and that's N. So this method is called the add-on interest method because we're adding on all the interest that we're going to pay to the amount of the loan before determining the payments. Here's example 1 from the textbook.
Let's look at an example for determining payments for an add-on interest loan. A new pair of Bose speakers for your home theater system costs $720. If you take out an add-on loan for 2 years at an annual interest rate of 18%, what will be your monthly payments? First, we need to use the simple interest formula, I equals PRT, to calculate the interest. The principal, P, is $720. We need to write the interest rate, 18%, as a decimal, so we will use 0.18 for R. Finally, since the loan is for 2 years, T equals 2. We have 720 times 0.18 times 2. Multiplying, we get $259.20. Next, we need to add the interest to the purchase price. So we have 720 plus $259.20 for a total of $979.20. Finally, to find the monthly payments, we divide this amount by 24 months, because there are 24 months in 2 years. $979.20 divided by 24 is equal to $40.80.
Here's an example for you to try. So Angela's bank gave her a 3-year add-on interest loan for $7,710 to pay for new equipment for her business. The annual interest rate is 7.51%. How much interest will she pay, and what are her monthly payments? Pause the video now and try this on your own. Then you can unpause the video and see the solution. First, we can compute the interest she's going to pay using the formula I equals P times R times T. So the principal is $77.10, the interest rate is 7.51, and then the time is 3 years. So that gives us an interest on that loan of $1,737.06. And then to find her monthly payments, we just take the total amount that she's going to pay, so that's the amount she borrows plus the interest, and divide by the number of payments. So we take $77.10 plus the interest, and she's making monthly payments for 3 years, so that's 12 times 3 is 36. And you can check that that works out to a monthly payment of $262.42. Let's talk now about how to compute finance charges on open-ended credit. So for the add-on interest method that we just discussed, that was for closed-ended credit. That means you borrowed a certain amount for something like a car, And that's it. You don't add additional amounts to that loan in the future. You just make that single purchase and then you pay it off. With open-ended credit, like a credit card, you might be making monthly payments on your loan, but you may also be increasing the loan by making further purchases. So we're going to see two different methods for computing the finance charges on open-ended credit. And the first is called the unpaid balance method. In this method, the interest is based on the previous month's balance. So we have to be careful with this method. It uses the simple interest formula I equals P times R times T that we're familiar with. However, P is not just the principal. In this case, P is several things. It's the previous month's balance, it's finance charges, it's purchases made, minus anything that was returned, and minus any payments that were made. For this formula, R is still the annual interest rate, but in this case, T is always 1/12, so that's 1 month. Let's work through example 2 together. It uses the unpaid balance method to find finance charges. So assume that the annual interest rate on your credit card is 18%, that's pretty standard, and your unpaid balance at the beginning of last month was $600. Since then, you purchased ski boots for $130 and sent in a payment of $170. Okay, so let's figure out two things. First, using the unpaid balance method, what is our credit card bill this month? And second, what is our finance charge next month? To compute this month's balance, we're going to list the items that we need to know. So the previous balance was $600, and now we need to compute the finance charge on last month's balance. And this is just last month's balance is P, the interest rate was 18%, so that's R, and then T is always 1 month, so that's 1/12 of a year. And that computation gives us $9. So we have $600, we have $9, purchases made, $130, and then we're going to subtract off $170. So this, we'll remember, is a negative. Okay, putting all those values together, we see that we have a total of $569. So that's how much we owe. To compute the finance charge for next month, we take that $569 and then again multiply it by the interest rate and the time of 1 month. And we see that our finance charge is $8.54. Now it's your turn to try that method. So assume the annual interest rate on your credit card is 21%. Your outstanding balance last month was $300. Since then, you have charged the purchase for $84 and made a payment of $100. Repeat what we just did. Find the outstanding balance at the end of the month, and then find next month's finance charge on this balance. All right, here's a list of things we need. So the previous month's balance was $300. The finance charge was $300 times the interest rate of 21% times 1/12 for 1 month. The purchases made were $84. There were no returns, but we made a payment of $100. So we'll subtract that off. And that works out to $289.25. And then for part B, our finance charge is based on that amount. So the finance charge is going to be that balance times our interest rate times 1/12. And that works out to $5.06. So there's the two answers. Oh, that's not quite a box, is it? There's the two answers to our two questions. In example 3, let's take a look at paying off a student loan. This is an example that hits pretty close to home for many of us, and you're going to see it's a bit of a frightening scenario, as with many of the examples in this chapter. So let's assume that you just graduated from college with $35,000 in student loans. That is not at all unusual. And suppose those loans have a 12% annual simple interest rate, which can happen with a private lender. In order to reduce your debt as quickly as possible, beginning next month, you're going to pay $500 per month toward the loan. After your first payment, how much will you owe on your loan? So as we all know, if we pay $500 towards a $35,000 loan, not all of that goes to principal. Some of that's going to go to interest. Let's find out how much. All right, so let's calculate the interest using the simple interest formula. So the amount of our loan was $35,000. The interest rate was 12%, and this is 1/12, so 1 month. So for 1 month, the interest due is $350. So if we make a $500 payment and $350 of it goes to interest, then only $150 goes to principal. So after paying $500, only $150 of it affects the principal amount that we owe, and we still owe $34,850 on the loan. Okay, try that depressing example for yourself. Suppose you have a student loan debt of $10,000, a simple interest rate of 9%, and you make a first payment of $300. How much is going to interest? How much is going to principal? And how much will you still owe? Pause here, try that for yourself, and then unpause to see the solution. All right, let's compute the interest. So we have a principal of $10,000, an interest rate of 9%, and this is monthly. And so we find that that interest rate is $75. So how much goes towards the principal? Well, we paid $300. The bank's going to keep $75 for itself, and so $225 goes to principal. So how much do we still owe? We still owe $10,000 minus $225, which is $9,775. Let's take a look now at example 4 from the textbook.
Now we will apply this method to find out what the consequences are of making only the minimum payments on a loan. Let's revisit your purchase of Bose speakers in the previous example. Recall that the speakers cost $720, and now you are going to put this purchase on your credit card. Assume that this is the only item that you are charging on the card. The annual rate is 18%, and the minimum monthly payment on the loan is found by taking the finance charge owed plus 2% of the outstanding balance. Assume that each month you are making the minimum payment on your loan. Part A asks, what is your first minimum monthly payment? Your first payment is calculated by finding the finance charge owed on borrowing $720 for 1 month, plus 2% of the outstanding balance of $720. To calculate the finance charge, we will use the annual interest rate, 18%, and find the monthly rate by dividing 18% by 12. We need to write our percent as a decimal, therefore, we must find 0.18 divided by 12, which is 0.015. The finance charge on $720 for 1 month is 0.015 times 720, which is equal to $10.80. Since you owed $720 for the first month, then you must pay 2% of 720, or 0.02 times 720, which is $14.40 on the principal. Your minimum payment then includes the interest plus the principal, which is $10.80 plus $14.40, which is equal to $25.20. Part B asks, how much principal have you paid off for your loan? In Part A, we figured out that you have paid $14.40 in principal on your loan. Part C states, this may shock you, but I used a spreadsheet to calculate that after 24 months of making minimum payments, you will still owe $461.64 on your speakers. What is your minimum monthly payment for the next month? Since you still owe $461.64, then the finance charge is calculated by multiplying 0.015 times 461.64 to get $6.93. The amount you must pay to reduce the principal is found by multiplying 0.02 times 461.64, which is $9.24. Therefore, your total payment is the sum of these values, or $6.93 plus $9.24, which is equal to $16.17.
Let's talk now about the average daily balance method. In the average daily balance method, the balance is the average of all daily balances for the previous month. Here are the steps for using the average daily balance method. First, we add the outstanding balance for our account for each day of the month. Then we divide the total in the previous step by the number of days in the month to find the average daily balance. Then to find the finance charge, we use the simple interest formula, where P is the average daily balance, R is the annual interest rate, and T is the number of days in the month divided by 365. And of course, the number of days in a month divided by the number of days in a year is very close to 1/12, but there can be some slight changes if the month has 31 days or 28 days. All right, let's go to the e-text now for example 5 on using the average daily balance method.
Now let's see how we can use the average daily balance method for finding finance charges in the following example. Suppose that you begin the month of September, which has 30 days, with a credit card balance of $240. Assume that your card has an annual interest rate of 18% and that during September the following adjustments are made on your account. September 11, a payment of $60 is credited to your account. September 18, you charge $24 for iTunes downloads. September 23, you charge $12 for gasoline. Use the average daily balance method to compute the finance charge that will appear on your October credit card statement. To do this problem, we must first find the average daily balance for September. The easiest way to calculate the balance is to keep a day-by-day record of what you owe the credit card company for each day in September. A table is shown with 4 columns. The first column is labeled Transaction. The second column is labeled Day. The third column is labeled Balance, and the fourth column is labeled Number of Days times Balance. In the first row, we have the first transaction as the balance on September 1st. The balance was $240 on days 1 to 10. Multiply 10 by $240 for a total of $2,400 in the first row. In the second row, the transaction listed is the payment of $60 on September 11. This new balance will remain the same for days 11 to 17. The balance is $240 minus $60, which is $180. In the fourth column, we multiply 7 for the 7 days and 180 to get 1,260. In the third row, we have the next transaction listed as a charge of $24 on September 18th. This will keep the new balance the days of 18 to 22. The new balance is found by adding the charge of $24 to the balance of $180 to get $204. This new balance occurs for 5 days, so we multiply 5 times 204 to get 1,020. Finally, the fourth transaction, or fourth row in the chart, is listed as a charge of $12 on September 23rd. This will make the new balance occur on days 23 to 30. To find the new balance, add the charge of $12 to the previous daily balance of $204 to get $216. This balance occurred for 8 days, so multiply 8 times 216 to get 1,728. Adding the 4 numbers in the last column gives us a total of $6,408. Now we want to find the average daily balance by taking the sum of 6,408 and dividing it by 30. This gives us an average daily balance of $213.60. At this stage in the problem, it is a good idea to check and see if the average daily balance we obtained is a reasonable number. It should be a number between the smallest balance, for us $180, and the largest balance, in our example $240. We next apply the simple interest formula where P equals $213.60, R equals 0.18, and T equals 30 divided by 365. We use this value of T because we are using the credit card for 30 days out of a 365-day year. So I equals PRT equals 213.6 times 0.18 times 30 divided by 365, which is equal to 3.1.
And in the last example for this section, let's compare those two methods for finding finance charges.
Let's look at an example comparing methods for finding finance charges. Suppose that you begin the month of May, which has 31 days, with a credit card balance of $500. The annual interest rate is 21%. On May 11, you use your credit card to pay a $400 car repair, and on May 29, you make a payment of $500. Calculate the finance charge that will appear on the statement for next month using the two methods that we have discussed. We will use a chart to help us organize our information. The chart has 5 columns. The first row contains the labels of the columns: method, P, R, T, and finance charge equals I equals P, R, T. In the second row, we calculate the finance charge using the unpaid balance method, and in the third row, we will use the average daily balance method. For the unpaid balance method, P is found by adding last month's balance, the finance charge, and the charge for car repair, then subtracting the payment made. We have 500 plus 8.75 plus 400 minus 500, which is equal to 408.75. R is 21% and T is 1/12. The finance charge for the unpaid balance method is 408.75 times 0.21 times 1/12, which is equal to $7.15. To find P for the average daily balance method, we must multiply 10 times 500 for the 10 days the balance was $500, plus 18 times 900 for the 18 days the balance went up to $900 after the car repair. We need to add 3 times 400 for the 3 days the balance went down to $400 after making a payment. Then we need to divide this quantity by 31 for the 31 days of May. Simplifying, we have 22,400 divided by 31, which gives us a value for P of 722.58. R is still 21%, but T is 31 divided by 365 for the average daily balance method. To find the finance charge for this method, we multiply 722.58 times 0.21 times 31 divided by 365 to get a finance charge of $12.89. Therefore, with the unpaid balance method, the finance charge is $7.15. With the average daily balance method, the finance charge is $12.89.